Hi, Orange Girl here with a different kind of process video for you today. The Button Farm Club sent me the album kit called Freezin Season by Simple Stories and asked me to put it together and show you how it's done. So I have put it together and it's going to start out by showing you what it looks like in the end, and then I'll go into a tutorial. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to start out by showing you what is included in the kit. When you get your kit, you will get a 12 by 12 sticker sheet, this chipboard sheet that's 6 by 12, all of these 4 by 6 stickers, and then a bunch of papers. So I'm going to flip through the papers really quickly. There's 12 by 12 papers, and then there's these cut apart sheets that are 3 by 4, 4 by 4, 4 by 6, and then this ledger paper. And so it also comes obviously with the actual album and then the page protectors that come with it. You're going to need to add a few supplies like adhesive, scissors, paper cutter, 2-inch punch, those sorts of things. So I'm going to start by where it starts, which is cut up all of the paper. So it gives you a step-by-step direction on how to cut this up. So it says remove the barcode, trim a vertical 4 by 12 piece, and then trim that into 4 by 6s. Then from that 6 by 12, you're going to create a 6 by 8 1/4 and 2 1/2-inch by 6-inch pieces. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to read all of those to you one at a time. It's written all out there for you step by step. I will, however, give you a few little pointers. So each of these you're going to want to start by cutting off the barcode. The problem is when you cut off the barcode, you're cutting off the title of the paper, and it will talk to you about, in your step-by-step directions, it will say, use the Frosty Friends paper to, and you'll have to look at the picture and figure out which one they're talking about. Sometimes you're going to use one side of the paper, sometimes you're going to use the other side of the paper, which just makes sense, and it will tell you that. It's one thing that's very helpful is if as you're cutting the paper, you keep it together. So all of this, which is called Snuggle Up, I think, all of this paper I put together, and then all of this paper, Hello Winter, I'm going to put that together in a pile. So if they're all together, then you can more easily figure out which one they're talking about. So if they say, Hello Winter, and it's this size, then you can figure out which one is which. You might not know the name of it, but you can figure it out from the pictures. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's one tip. Another tip is that it is also helpful as you're cutting them to cross them off as you cut them. So you can see over to the right, I have my sheet that has all of the directions on it, and as I'm cutting them, I'm cutting off, or I'm using a orange pen to mark off the ones that I've already done. For the directions for this actual kit, it shows you, or it asks you, to cut out each of these individual cards. I'm not going to cut all of them out in front of you. I'm doing these 4 by 4 cards right in front of you, and you can see how I'm just adjusting it, eyeballing it, also looking at it. And then through the magic of video, I went ahead and you can see that I cut them off camera. And now I'm just going to get started doing the album. So it starts out by asking you to do the cover, and for the cover, basically what you need is you need the chipboard stickers, and you're adding the globe and the words Freezin season and some of the snowflakes to the cover. It does not ask you to put tangled thread behind the snow globe, but I did because because I use a lot of tangled thread, and as you're going through this and you follow it step by step, feel free to modify it to fit your style. I add some tangled thread, and that's about the only difference. I do add a little bit of machine stitching. I may actually, now that this is all finished, I may go back as I'm adding my photographs, and I might go ahead and add some machine stitching to other parts as well. I didn't want to do all of that in front of you, and so it was just easier to go ahead and do exactly what was in the directions for the most part. So I am using some liquid glue to add these pieces to the cover. They do have adhesive on them, but I added a little bit of liquid glue just to hold it a little bit better on the cover like that. I'll talk a little bit more about my adhesives in a moment. I'm going to put something heavy on top of it to go ahead and let it dry off camera. And now I'm going to do a little work on the inside. So the next step is the inside cover. And this is where I'm adding a little bit of stitching. It asks you to take a 4x6 card that you've already cut up with that cute penguin paper. And then another strip that you cut up that is, I believe, 1x6. And you're going to glue those together. I stitched them together as well. Then you're adding a piece of chipboard and adding some stickers to the front. You're going to make this into a pocket. So you're using some of that ledger paper and adding two, what are those things called? Like a file, a label sticker. Yeah, two label stickers, one to the front and one to the back. And then you glue around 3 sides of it and stick it onto the inside cover. I did that kind of fast, but you can kind of see how I do it here as well. So I'm just going to glue around these 3 sides, and then I'm going to glue those 2 pieces together. This is after I used my 2-inch punch to punch a little hole in the side. And now I have a little area to put a journaling card. I'm using one of the page protectors that comes with it. These are 4x6 cards, so I use the 4x6 page protector as a guide to help me punch holes in the side, and any hole punch will do for that. Then the directions ask you to go ahead and add one of the chipboard pieces on top of one of the trees. It just adds a little dimension. It's kind of nice. And then for this one, you're also going to grab 2 of these file folder or label stickers, yeah, and then put them front to back like I just did and stick it in there, and it's ready to go into your album. And that's kind of the very first piece. Like in there, you could talk about where you're going to, what this album is about, because it's at the beginning of your album if you follow all the directions exactly how they are. You could also do that on the one that you made on the inside cover. So I'm going to add a little bit more tangled thread behind this chipboard, and when I do that, I just pull some out, tangle it up, and stick it behind. I add a little extra glue, especially when I'm adding that tangled thread. Just adds a little bit of texture. So if that's something that you're interested in, that's what I do. And then going back and forth between the chipboard, the 4x6 sticker sheets, and the 12x12 sticker sheets to add the elements that the directions tell us to add. So one of the 4x6 cut apart sheets had that's on the bottom there, and then on the top you're making that based from a 12x12 piece of paper. Okay, so several down now. This next one, you can see my directions are right beside me most of the time because I am doing this for the very first time and I'm following directions step by step. So this is going to be another, I believe this is 6x8, and or a little bit less than 6x8. And I'm putting, no, it's 6x8. I'm sorry. So I'm adding the items that it asks you to add. I'm cutting 1/4 of an inch off the top so that this fits in perfectly, because the page protectors are really more like 8 1/4 inches high. So if you cut that off, then it's right at the top, and I'll show you why we're going to do that in just a second. I took those chipboard elements off of it and glued them to the outside because that is what the directions said, and I had misread them when I first read them. You could do either. It's just really a preference. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the flip out. So I'm taking the piece and I'm scoring it at 1/4 of an inch like that, using my bone folder just to make it so that it is a really good fold. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that edge there. And then it should be the same height now, and you just glue it together, and now you have a little flip up. And it still fits in the page protector, and I'll show you how that works here in just a second, I think. By that ledger paper will go right into the page protector. Okay, so one of the many things that I learned as I was putting my very first kit together, was that it is helpful to have your pictures ready to go. I did not print out pictures to put in this album at this point. You could make this without printing out your pictures. But if you do print out your pictures, it's a little bit easier to put the stickers and all of that on them, because some of the stickers will go right on top of the photos. In this case, the photo is going to go on that blue paper there that's underneath. There we go. And that's how that flip up works. It's pretty cool. Anyway, if you have your pictures ready to go, it makes it a little bit easier. So here's how I do. We're going to make just another little journal card piece here. Put these two together. Sometimes when you're trimming with your trimmer, you might not get exactly what you need, and so I go ahead and I just use my scissors afterwards. Now this one called for 2 birds to go on here. I wanted my birds to go so that they were facing the words. In the picture, you will not have the birds facing the words. But I did it because that's just a style preference for me. So I have the birds facing inward, and then going off the page a little bit, because I just kind of like how that works. So now to create this one, it's a 3x4 card and a 4x4 card. So I glue them together, and then I just cut an end off, and then add the label stickers, and you have a pretty card on one side with a place to journal on the other side. Now some of these are super simple. All you do is add a few stickers to the outside, or you could add them to your photograph, and you add a few cards, and that's all you do, and you just put them in the pockets. One of the things that I am doing that you would not need to do, so like I just cut around those mittens. Some of the times I'm going to cut around the actual stickers, because I don't want to put them in a place where I'm actually going to put my photo. If my photos were in there, then I would put them directly on my photo. But since my photos aren't in the pocket pages yet, I'm putting some of the stickers on the outside of the page like this. And then some of the stickers I am cutting out and just kind of putting in place, but leaving some of the backing of the sticker on there so it's not stuck down fully, if that makes sense. I'll show you, I think, an example of that coming up here. So for this one, it's just going to have 2 4x6 photos in it. So that one's pretty easy. You just add a few stickers and you're done. I love the way you can just add these 4x6 or 3x4 cards inside the page protectors. Then all you have to do is add a few stickers and it's ready to go. I know that I'm doing this pretty quickly. Something I might suggest is, if you're wondering how to do something, or if you're stuck on something as you're trying to make it, is you could stop the video and go back and rewind that section and watch that section again. Most of it is pretty straightforward, and all you need to do is add a little glue or add a little sticker, and you're done. But some of the flip ups are a little bit more tricky, although I would not call them difficult. I would say that the hardest part that I had from the get-go making this was in the directions, figuring out which pieces of paper they were talking about, which wasn't really that hard. The bigger problem was, where did I put that piece of paper on my desk? Because as I was creating this, my desk became like a mess of stuff. There was just, these stickers were over here and these stickers were over here, and as I used them, then I moved them into a different location. So I'm popping up a couple of these on pop dots and adding a little bit of thread behind it to make it prettier. Okay, so for this one, here's another one where that photo is going to go. Okay, so here I'm cutting this square piece of sticker into a banner, and then that's the direction right there. And then where I change it here is I am going to add some of the backing back onto the sticker like that, so that when I'm ready to put my photo there, all I have to do is stick my photo in there, take the backing off that sticker, and it's ready to go. Since I didn't have my photos printed yet, and I wasn't going to put all my photos into this album in front of you necessarily, because all it is adding photos, I decided it would just be easier to create it ahead of time and then add the photos once I know where I want them to go. Some of them haven't even happened yet, you know, because it's still winter, and I will probably use this to document our winter this year. So this one was a little bit trickier because it had a tab at the top and it had a sticker at the bottom. And so I'm trying to do that same thing where I am pretending that there's a photo in the middle there and only tacking it down lightly. Does that make sense? Okay, here's a fold up. This one's kind of fun. So you fold it up. It's 4x6 on the bottom, and you fold it up. And then you're going to add a sticker to the front, a couple of stickers actually. And I added the wrong sticker. So in the directions it says to use the igloo sticker. I didn't use the igloo. Okay, these are 2 stickers front to back so that you have a little bit of a interest up there in the corner. Glue the 2 sides and then measure it and poke your holes. And then that one is done, except for adding a few little snowflakes. Then on the back, there's going to be another location for you to put another photo, and it's going to be a 3x4 photo. And so I just used one of my 3x4 cards as a guide to show me where to put the 4x4 card. And then I'll take that 3x4 card off and use it somewhere else. So I'm going to do that little trick for myself again here, where I'm just lightly tacking it down. One sticker can stay because it won't overlap the photo, but the other picture will overlap the photo. So that one's done. So one of the things that I really like about this kit, I really like the fact that you can just add the cards and add the photos and add some journaling and be done for the most part. But I also like in this kit, it shows you how to make some odd sized things. So what I mean by that is some things are in the page protectors, like the one that I'm doing now. Some things are outside of the page protector and they have some interactive elements. And I love albums. I've created albums before on my own using my own thoughts, which takes a lot longer. This kit you can put together so much more quickly because it is all written out right there for you, and it tells you exactly where to place everything. But you can also use your own creativity and change it up at all if you want as well. So, but it gives you a great base idea of how to create these things. Okay, I'm going to make another interactive element here. So this 4x6 card, I'm scoring so that there is 1/4 of an inch on the one side. Then that part that I scored, I'm going to glue so that the whole card, the 4x6 card, is on the front, but that one little part is the only part that's glued down. One thing that I might do is I might end up stitching that eventually. It just gives it a little bit more durability, but it also adds a little bit of a decorative element as well. So then on the inside, that's where you're going to put your photograph and a little more decorative items. So I'm going to go ahead and get that tab ready where I'm going to put the photo will be that size, it'll be a 4x4 photo. And then, yeah, put my stickers and then call that one pretty much done. And look how cute it is. So this is the back of that same element or that same interactive page that we just made. It has this paper on the back. So one of the things that you'll want to make sure you're doing as you're creating the interactive elements especially, but any of the pages where you're going to use both the front and the back of the page, you're going to want to make sure that you look and make sure those houses, for example, are going the right way. So if I had folded this the wrong way, the houses might be upside down on the back. And you don't want that to happen. So that was one of the things. I never made that mistake, which I was really proud of myself. I was very conscious of the fact that these were all front to back papers. And so some of them have an orientation that has to go a certain way. And so you'll want to look out for that as you are creating this. So here's another, there was an interactive element, and now we're moving on to one that is a little bit more simple. So that will be a photograph right there on the left top. And so I'm just going to put a little sticker there. One of the things that when I do another one of these the next time is I ended up making some white cards. So you saw that as I went through the flip through, you saw that there were white cards throughout. Each of those places where there were white cards in the flip through was a place for there to be photographs. So I went ahead and cut 4x6 photos, or 4x6 pieces of white cardstock, as well as 3x4 and the other sizes that are included. I went ahead and cut those, and when I do another one of these for you to see, I will have those already ready to go so that you can see where the pictures go. So this is where I realized that I was supposed to use a chipboard here, and I didn't. I used a regular sticker. So I just flipped it out. Now, does it really matter? Nope, it does not. If I'd have left that and put the chipboard on this page, it would have looked just fine. The chipboard element was a little bit bigger than the sticker, and so like not just thicker, but also just a little bit bigger. And so having it on the photo like this, I thought it would look a little bit better if it was a little smaller. So I went ahead and switched it out. And since I made this all kind of in one day, some of the stuff I was able to still peel up. The reason, and move like I just did right there. The reason that when I'm putting things over where a photograph will go, the reason why I'm not tacking it down all the way at this point is I'm not sure when I'm going to get the photos in, and so I want them to stay in their locations, but I don't want them, I want to be able to go ahead and put the photo in there. So I put some tangled thread behind that, popped up a couple elements there. And here's another case where there's going to be a photo at the top. So I'm just using one of my, now if I had already cut the white pieces of cardstock, then I would have put that there already. When I put the white pieces of cardstock in, I would, before I did the flip through, a lot of those are just barely tacked down. I think at the end of this, I had cut them, and so one of the last couple of pages, I think you'll see me put down a fake picture. In the meantime, I'm just using what I have in front of me, and I knew it was going to be like a 4x4 photo, so I just went ahead and used one of the 4x4 cards as a guide for where to place things. So some of the things ask you to put some stuff on the outside, like this is on the outside of the page protector. And some, I couldn't tell whether it said it was supposed to be on the inside of the page protector or on the outside of the page protector, to be honest. I didn't know which it was supposed to be. And so I just guessed, or I just did what I thought would work best for myself. Okay, so we're getting very close to the end here. So this is a page that uses several different pieces of pattern paper that you cut up in the beginning, several layers, and it's really pretty when it's all finished. So this is where I realized, oh, I was supposed to use the igloo here. And so I peeled it up, and then I was able to do that because I did it quickly enough. Like I said, I put this together in a day, off and on. I didn't spend the entire day working on it. I worked on it for a while, then I would go do something else and come back. And so I was able to still peel up some of the stickers because they hadn't been down that long. But once they are down, they stick pretty well. That was my adhesive running out, so I had to get a new adhesive roller. All right, so there's another one done. Whoops, I knocked that one off. That's the thing. Sometimes when they're on the outside, they might fall off. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. I've never made an album like this, exactly like this before, so we'll have to see how it weathers. So there is where I put that white piece of cardstock in there because that is where a photo is going to go. So off camera, I had decided, I really need something in there to show where the photographs go. So the next video that I do for the Button Farm Club, I will make sure that I have those cut and ready to go. I was going to tell you that when you choose to create this, it's a really fun. Oh wait, I'll tell you that after this. This is another interactive element. This is a fun one. So I had to use my bone folder there again, and I went ahead and scored it, and then flip it up. Look, isn't that adorable? And then this card, they're 3x4 cards, but they want them to be 2.5 by 3.5. So but I wanted it to be centered. So I cut 1/4 of an inch off each side. And then that way it's the right size. It fits in there quite nicely and it's still centered. And then I'm going to add a few pop-up elements to this. And then it opens up and there'll be a photo on the inside. So that's kind of cute. So what I was going to tell you is when you get this kit, to give you an idea of what it's set up for, it's set up for about 32 photos, various sizes, but mostly 4x6 and 3x4. There's one big 5x7 at the end, which is kind of a nice way to end your album. And then there are a few like square size, like 3x5 by 3x5, 4x4 elements, things like that. And so, but like I said, there's about 32 photos. So that would be, you could do that if you went skiing, or if you had a day where you had a snow day and you spent outside and you did like 32 photographs. You could very easily create this about one day. You could create this about one winter. You could keep this over time and do a few photos each year and have, the first few years of your kid's life, or the first winter that you and your husband are together, those sorts of things. So here as I wanted that photo to not show, so I moved it over just a little bit before I moved on to the back. That's going to be another photo. This one's a crooked photo, and then in there is a cute little tag, which you could easily do some strips of journaling on top of that tag if you wanted to go with that photograph. It's really cute. We're getting close to done now. So here is another opportunity to put in a 3x4 photo, add a few stickers on the top. On the bottom is just a 4x6 card. And then when you flip that over, this one is, this was a little bit tricky here, so I'm going back to that. For each of these pages, it kind of shows you what to do for one side, and then the next section shows you how to do the other side. For some reason, this one kind of put both sides together, so I was a little confused at first, but if you just read it, it makes sense. But I was trying to read and do all at the same time, and so you can come back to this part of the video if you get confused, and it'll show you that you just flip it over as you're making the one side. All right, so this one is a little tricky. So you go ahead and you mark 3 inches on one side, and then you cut it straight up to the top on the other side. You're going to put glue around 3 sides and make a little pocket. Isn't that cute? So then it calls for fussy cutting this 4x4 card so that you just have the little hat and the word winter, or hello winter, words hello winter. You could leave it as a card. You wouldn't have to cut it, but I like the way it ended up looking. It does, in the directions, tell you to cut this. This isn't something that I added. And then you glue that down and pop up a sticker that kind of looks like a little sweater circle. And you put that up there at the top. And one of the things that I love this collection, I already had elements of this collection. I used some of it for my December daily. And it is great, cute little collection, and I love it. So when I was asked to do Freezin Season album, I was like, yes, I love it because I love the papers, and all of the elements are so adorable. I love the way this album ended up coming together. I did spend, like I said, I did it in a day, and if you had your photos already um, edited and cut and out, ready to go, you could easily put the whole album together in a day. No problem. It would not be hard. So this is where a big 5x7 photo is going to go for the very end. And then it has these little square stickers on the side. I am not going to glue them all the way or stick them all the way down, just like I did the other stickers, because it's going to go over a 5x7 photo that I don't have on the page yet. So that's just my way of, I leave some of the backing on, cut some of the backing off, and then it will stick there. And then the last final touches of this is just to add a couple of chipboard elements to a couple of those, and you're done. And it is the cutest. I can't wait to put photos in it. I hope you like this, and see you again soon.